There's some questions here. Could you unfold your concepts in a generalist way so they can be applied to not just arms, but the entire body? Yes, that is what I hope to do, is not just talk about arms, but how I approach study in general. So this can be applied to legs, torsos, heads, whatever you are studying, this method will be similar. I can barely draw a circle or straight line. I can definitely give some advice on that if you want. So everyone says don't compare yourself to someone, but it's human tendency. That is very true. When I see other people work and they are so talented, I don't come near them. I am not talking about not just animation, but anything. Talking people drawing other life things too. This is very common. Bo and I struggle with this a lot as well. It's like you said, it's human nature to see something and compare. That is essentially a human survival instinct. We, as a species, compare things. We see an apple, we see an orange, we compare them. We see poison berries, safe berries, we compare them. We as a species are built to compare and contrast things. Night, day, good, bad. Our brains like to separate things. And when we look at other people, we go, what do they have? What do I have? What do they do? What do I do? It's human nature. So as artists and animators, where we are very creative people in the sense that that is literally what you do as an animator and an artist, is you create. And it's all about your own ability. It's the same with athletes, I would imagine. When you're an athlete, you're always comparing your own athletic skill to someone else. And anyone who is doing anything that involves being and doing something of yourself that contrasts to someone else, you will see if you are as good or better or worse, and try to evaluate where you stand. The problem with this is that it often leads to feelings of, and I'll switch my camera back here so we can talk about this better. It often leads to feeling inadequate. It often leads to feeling like you're not doing enough, you're not good enough. There's all of these negative connotations with comparing yourself to others, especially those who are better artists, who are better animators. It can be very self-deprecating and demoralizing to do that. Now, how do you not do that? Because, like I said, it can be really hard on you. And a lot of the advice you see online is, well, just don't do it. Don't compare yourself to others. It's like, yeah, but I can't stop. That's literally human nature to do it. You can't just not compare yourself. So the trick is to be aware of it, and it essentially takes awareness. It takes being self-aware of your mental thoughts and tendencies. Awareness is a big part of mental health, because your brain will tell you things and think things right away. Your brain is super quick. It just thinks a thought. Like if I say pink elephants, I can pretty much guarantee most of you guys thought of a pink elephant as soon as I said it. You didn't have to think of it. You didn't have to make your brain think of it. You all just had a mental image of a pink elephant. Our brain is super good at having ideas put into it and thinking of ideas. The problem is our brain doesn't think through the ideas or why or how. It just thinks them. So when you see someone else's work, your brain goes, they're better than me. Because that's the instant reaction. That's the instant thought that the brain does. But it never goes further than that. That's where it stops. And if you stop right there, that's the thought that you have, is they're better, or I'm not as good. It's similar thought process. So being aware of that. Guess goal setting is much better approach. Yes, having goal setting is definitely a good approach, and that is something I'll get to. The big thing to consider when you look at someone else's work, so your brain goes, they're better than me. or I'm not as good as them. The kind of key is to be aware when you look at their work that what you are seeing is the end result of what could be hours or days or weeks of work, studies and research, and years of practice. They didn't just poop out this amazing piece and went, oh, look, it's my first drawing I've ever done. No, chances are that they spent a long time studying this and practicing. So when you are comparing your picture to their picture, you are doing an unfair comparison, because what you're seeing is the tip of an iceberg of how much experience one person has versus another. Maybe your iceberg is only about that big. Theirs is maybe that big compared to how much is actually on the surface in terms of years and years and years of experience. And being aware of that when you look at their work. Being aware of the time that went behind it, because when you're on Twitter, when you're on art sites like that, DeviantArt, ArtStation, you look at people's work and they're just, hey, look what I did. It sounds very much like, oh, I did this on a whim, it was super easy for me, and look how amazing it looks. But we don't see the struggles and the amount of undos and redos that they did to get that done. So it's really important to be aware like that. And it helps to remove that hard, instant edge of, I'm not as good as them, because you're being aware of it. And like Shinobi mentioned, goal setting is important. Is when you're looking at other people's work, approach it with a mindset not of or a goal, not of looking at their work and going, well, they're good and they're amazing and they're good and they're amazing and I'm not. That's not going to help you. When you look at people's work, when you're going through Twitter and you're looking at all the artists you love, or DeviantArt or ArtStation or any of those other sites, when you're doing that, approach it with, I like their work. Like, this person has amazing work. Take a moment to step back and go, why do I like their work? What is it about their work I like? It could be the anatomy. It could be the composition. It could be the color or the painting style or the line work. Whatever it is, try to understand what it is exactly about it that you like, because that again, it's awareness. That awareness of why you like a piece will help you when you work on your own to know where you want to focus and improve. You'll know better that, oh, it's not just that they're better, it's that this concept that they're applying helps make this a better piece. Maybe I will try and improve my line work or my composition and help you apply it. And then once you understand that, you can look at their work and kind of break it apart and see, oh, this is what they did. And then you can try it yourself, which we'll get into when I talk about the study. So one of the other things I do, and I actively do when I compare myself to others, is to change the way your brain thinks. And that's really hard to do because, again, like I said, your brain spits out thoughts. Your brain isn't necessarily evil. Like a lot of people, like I saw in the chat, like brain is evil. Yes and no. The brain is literally just spewing out things. The brain reacts. It is very reactionary. I hold up lip balm. You guys all think, oh, it's lip balm. Like, you instantly have a thought the moment I hold this up. If I hold up my pen, you all think pen. If I hold up my phone, your brain instantly reacts and registers. The brain is extremely fast. And because of this, when your brain, like I said before, sees art and goes, it's good, it's better than me, all of these things, it's such a reactionary reaction. It's not thinking through the process. So what I try to do is force my brain to have a different phrasing, or I actively apply a different phrasing to it. For example, one of the phrases I often used to think when I was younger was, how did it go? It was when I was in animation, when I was in Animation Mentor as a student. When I would look at other people's work, I would approach it with, their work's better than mine. I want to be a great animator. I want to have great work. All those thoughts that you usually have as an artist or animator is like, I want to be really good. I want to be great at this. And that mindset doesn't sound bad at first. It sounds normal. It sounds like, yeah, everyone wants to be great at what they're doing. But there's a problem inherent with that. Because again, remember, your brain is reactionary. When you think, I want to be great at drawing or animating, what your brain then does without you realizing it is go, okay, I want to be great. Well, they're better, and they're better, and they're better, and they're better. Because your brain, when you say that you want to be good at something or great at something, will instantly go, okay, well, let's look at all these other things that are also great and compare. Like I said, brains are reactionary and they love to compare things. So that thought process instantly creates what is competition. It essentially sees everyone else as potential competition for you. Because if you want to be great, you have to be better than them, or you have to be as good as them. It instantly creates this competition and this need for being better, this need for comparing yourself. It is a very negative mindset, even as positive as it may seem at the beginning of, I want to be a great animator. I want to be a great artist. It inherently creates a negative view. And I see this a lot with a lot of students, with a lot of animators, artists. They're always looking at everyone else and going, well, they're better than me. Why am I not better? I'm bad. It leads down this negative mindset. Instead, what I did when I started realizing this was I changed the way I saw my own goals, the way I saw my aspirations. I changed it to, instead of being, I want to be great at this thing, I want to be better, or I want to be the best animator or artist. Instead of having that, which again, like I said, I apologize, I'm kind of rambling here. Like I said, it's a very competitive mindset. I changed my mindset to, I don't want to be a great animator or a great artist. I just want to be better than I was. Every day, I want to be a little better than I was the day before. I want to become a better artist and a better animator than I was before. And what this does, it may sound kind of the same, but what it does is it changes your mindset from being an external comparison to an internal comparison. So you're not comparing yourself to everyone else who may or may not be better than you. Now, you're only comparing yourself to yourself. And when you do this, if you learn how to animate a bouncing ball just a little better than you did yesterday, if you understand timing or spacing just a little better than you did the day before, if you learn to draw a circle a little better than last week, or can draw a line a little straighter, you have improved and you have made progress. And that is a positive mindset, because you are seeing all the positivity of yourself. You see the growth you make, even if it's a small growth, it's a small change. Whereas the other mindset of having to be the best or having to be better, no matter how much progress you make, you could do leaps and bounds of progress, but you're always comparing yourself to the other people. So you're always going to feel like you're never good enough, because no amount of progress is going to be enough, because there's always someone better. There's always a bigger fish. So it's always a negative mindset. Even Glenn Keane and masters of animation and master artists will say that they have people they think are better than them. Even if you're at the top of your game, you'll always feel like you're not good enough if you have that external, but they're better mindset. So it to me, what really helped was changing it to an internal, am I better than I was before? Can I draw this thing a little better than I could before? Could I animate this thing a little better than I did before? And if I did, I'm getting better. And if you approach it that way, you're always making progress, you're always growing, and you will become great. You will become talented at the thing that you are doing because you're making progress and you're always growing. It doesn't become a stagnation and a demoralizing, but I'm never going to be good enough mindset, because you're always getting better. And I know it's like you guys are saying, like, oh, it makes so much sense. It's hard to do. It took me a long time, and I had to fight my brain, because like I said before, the brain wants to spit out these thoughts without thinking of them. It just reacts and reacts. And you have to be aware. You have to use, you have to go, hey brain, hold it, whoa, let me think through this and approach this with a better view. And I will admit, when I was in Animation Mentor as a student, there were times where I was just like, man, my work sucks. I hate this. I'm never going to be good. As an artist, same thing. Everyone else is so much better. Why am I even bothering? It was so depressing and miserable. But since I changed that, it's a lot less so. Sure, like when I look at an amazing artist, there's still part of me that goes, man, why am I not that good? But I have to hold myself back and go, wait, hold on. Am I better than I was? Am I improving? And people seem to like my work now. People seem to like, you guys are here for a reason and you're listening to us. So apparently Bo and I have grown and improved than when we were in Animation Mentor as students. So hopefully that can help. Hopefully this helps all of you with that feeling of comparing yourself to others and feeling demoralized by it. And yes, if you compare yourself to top artists, that is definitely going to be an unfair comparison, like I said at the beginning. And it will take work. It took me quite a while to fix that. And here's one of the other things you can do. If you see an animator, like if you guys are in Animation Mentor, for example, which has a great way of communicating with other animators in the school, or if you're on Twitter, if you're on one of those art sites and you see someone whose work is amazing, don't be afraid to reach out and say, hey, how did you do this? Like, what was your thought process behind this? Reach out and ask questions. And that's not to, I want to be clear on this. When you reach out to artists on social media, one of the questions that they often get asked, and I've been asked this, is like, what program do you use? What brush do you use? And that question is a bit unfair, or not so much unfair. It is not a great question asked, because honestly, if I drew on a piece of paper like this with a pencil, it's not about the program I'm using, it's about my ability to understand the concepts. It really isn't about the quality of the tool or the price or the expense. It's really about your own effort that you put in, and doing studies. But asking someone like, hey, how did you do this really cool effect? Or if you're in animation, how did you do this? Like, how did you do this like cool smear? A lot of times people will be happy to tell you. Don't be afraid to open up and ask people to help you grow.